Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm Kimberly from gfreedeliciously.com. For today's Cooking G-Free Deliciously, I'm cooking up a dish that takes its inspiration from Peperonata, which is an Italian stewed sauce of sweet bell peppers with olive oil, onion, garlic, and tomatoes. In this recipe for mascarpone pepper and penne pasta, we've skipped the tomatoes and concentrated on summery yellow and red bell peppers, then stirred in mascarpone cheese and baby spinach to serve over penne pasta for a budget-friendly meal full of saucy, comforting flavor. So here we go on how to make one of my favorite go-to recipes. This meal is so simple and it helps to get me back on track when my cooking mojo goes haywire. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But the penne pasta's angled edges work amazingly well in this dish to capture the chunky vegetable sauce made with sweet bell peppers, onions, olive oil, garlic, and the mascarpone cheese. The ingredients really build on rustic and simple flavors that are stewed together where everything gets tender and delicious without getting mushy. So I'm just going to get going here by heating my pan up a little bit, and I'm adding in just 2 tablespoons of olive oil. EVOO, as many of you might know that it is called. And that is going to give a nice base for the flavor of the pepper to infuse into that oil there. So I'm just going to, now that the olive oil is in the pan, stir that around just a teeny tiny bit as that heats up. And I'm putting in my chopped onions as well as the chopped yellow bell peppers and chopped red bell peppers. Now, as you're chopping these up, in the recipe, I am not putting an exact cup amount that this makes because it really doesn't matter here. You're going to just look for equal amounts of the onion and the yellow bell pepper and the red bell pepper as you chop those up. And as you can see, it makes a beautiful, beautiful base of onion and pepper for this recipe. So like I said, the ingredients really build on those simple flavors when they're stewed together, where everything gets tender and delicious without getting mushy. So you begin by cooking those bell peppers and onions with the olive oil in a heavy bottom, high-sided pot or pan for about 15 to 20 minutes or so on medium-low heat. So if you got your heat going at a little higher temperature, you are going to want to make sure that you're turning that down to a medium low. And those are just going to hang out in that pan on medium low heat, cooking then for, again, 15 to 20 minutes. Then once that is done, you're going to add the garlic and season with salt and pepper and a dash of ground nutmeg to taste. And you're going to be cooking that at that point for 2 to 3 minutes or more longer. And as those ingredients cook low and slow, the onions are going to become translucent while the peppers, again, infuse that oil, loading it up with tons of flavor. And we're just going to let that hang all out there. I like to, as I'm going, give it a stir occasionally, just to make sure that the onion and pepper is all cooking evenly as that uh, cooks down. So while that is going, I thought I would just mention a little bit more about the peppers and onions too. The peppers, you want to look for deep colors of yellow and red when you're selecting them at the store. Many times you'll see that they say red peppers, but they're more orangish than red, and real ripe peppers are going to have those deep colors, that golden yellow, that deep red pepper color. The beautiful ripe uh, bell peppers should provide enough natural sweetness to the onion in this dish. Now, this is a tip that I learned from my grandma when I was young, just starting out cooking. But if your peppers are less mature and less sweet, and they taste a little bit tart to you, add a tiny bit of sugar, a pinch at a time, until that flavor balances out. That will really kind of do the trick. That's the secret in making those flavors nice and balanced for you in the dish. And then the yellow onions, I prefer yellow onions over white onions in this dish. The yellow onions have a nice balance of astringency and sweetness in their flavor, and they also will become sweeter the longer that they cook. I usually look for a fist-size onion with a relatively rigid outer skin, because those will have nice meaty layers in them. Spanish onions are a particular kind of yellow onion, and we find them to be slightly sweeter and a little more delicate in flavor. And I'm just going to give this another little stir. And you can kind of tell as these start to cook, the onion is really the secret to all of this, that you will see the color starting to change and uh, become more translucent as those cook down. And we're just going to keep letting those cook away there. So while the peppers are cooking, and you'll hear me say this again and again, I like the timing of everything to kind of come together at one time. And I really strive to try to get things from the cooking process to the table in about 30 minutes. So while those peppers are cooking, you're going to want to put on a large pot of boiling water, lightly salted water. And today I've saved a little bit of time by starting those ahead of time. You want to go to an al dente phase with the pasta as it cooks. So you're going to be adding that to the boiling water and cooking to the instructions. I find it very helpful to really pay attention to the instructions on the bag or the box. I've used a corn-based pasta today. I wasn't able to find a brown rice-based penne pasta at my grocery store the other day. And you can go either way. Everybody has their own preferences. I tend to like a brown rice penne pasta better than a corn-based penne pasta. It will stay a little bit firmer. The corn-based is going to cook down in about 8 minutes to that al dente phase. Newsflash here, last night I got my pasta all ready to go and I brought it up almost to al dente and then chilled it very fast. And I put it out in what we call our tiki room, which is our Four Seasons room, and it is not heated at all. And when I was getting ready for the show this morning, I know this is a segue, but it was frozen. So dear hubby brought it in and said, what are you going to do now? And so I, being the smart brainiac that I am, I thought, well, I'll just throw it back into some water while I'm setting everything up for the video. Well, that didn't quite go according to plan, and my penne pasta cooked for a little longer than 8 minutes because ended up making it's a little more than al dente because I didn't catch it soon enough. But that doesn't change the taste at all, and I'm sure it's going to be just wonderful for this dish. So the last thing I want to say about the pasta is that before you drain it, my suggestion is to save about a half a cup of that water, that lightly salted water that the pasta has been boiling in, because we're going to use that when we get ready to make the creamy sauce for this particular recipe. And this is really coming along quite nicely. It's just going to take another minute or two, and then I think we're going to be about ready to add our garlic and our spices to this so that those flavors can also meld a little together in it. So if you're like me, and I promised I would share this with you, every so often I get in a mood where I don't have much effort to cook. Maybe you found this too, but when this happens and my cooking mojo just isn't flowing quite like it usually does, anything I force cook comes out half-assed and mediocre at best. It's not at all like when I've got my timing down and I'm blissfully rolling along, enjoying the whole process of cooking. So instead, it turns out overcooked or undercooked or seasoned way too much or too little. And to combat this happening over the years, I've learned to plan for those days when my mojo takes flight to the normal, relaxing rhythm of cooking and blissfulness in the kitchen. In a nutshell, I'm talking about planning out weekly meals, allowing for those days when things are all off kilter. And really, big news flash here. You don't have to be a natural at cooking to make it look effortless. Your family is going to be like, she's got this in the bag. It's always, so she's always so together. They make commercials about that. Grandma's in the kitchen cooking away and the family just thinks it's wonderful. And actually, Grandma's back there banging on the pots and pans, making it look so doggone simple, right? So what are go-to meals? These go-to meals can be anything from beans and franks to one of your favorite pasta dishes like this one is for me. And if you want to know more about meal planning versus meal prepping for effortless cooking, you're going to want to check out that post on the website too, which will include a free download for a free meal plan template for you. And this is just beautiful here, nice and translucent. So at this point, I'm going to add in my garlic. In there, garlic. And I've got my salt and pepper. I am using white pepper in this. I don't want too dark of specks in everything. So I've used white pepper. I've got a little bit of salt and some nutmeg, which really adds that extra into the dish. And everybody will kind of go, oh, what's that all about? I taste something else in there that's really delicious. Gives it just a tiny, tiny bit of a nutty flavor, and I really love that. So the peppers are, again, infusing with that oil. They're getting soft, but they're not mushy at all. And the onions are becoming really beautifully translucent in this dish. And I just keep stirring it around a little bit as I go. So yes, please be sure to check out the post for a meal planning versus meal prepping for effortless cooking on the website. So today, all of the groceries that I'm using in this recipe in the workshop are all the products were ordered and picked up through the Walmart website, shopping their online grocery. And I just want to give a shout out to Walmart and how they make it super simple to set up an online account, search for exactly the items that you need using the search bar at the top of their web page. And if you're making a recipe featured on gfreedeliciously.com, you can add the items straight from the links in the recipe cards on the site directly into your Walmart shopping cart just by clicking on the link. So if you want to support me and my work and you enjoy watching these videos, that is a way that you can support me a little bit by clicking on the links in those recipe cards, because I earn a small commission from all of the things that you order off of my site. And really, I love ordering online because it's easy to assemble your entire list into a shopping cart, quickly review it, and then pay for the order online. And I love that because then I can schedule my grocery pickup when it's convenient for me to swing by the store to pick it up. The curbside contactless delivery right to my car is super duper fast. And I'm in and out in usually less than 10 minutes. And I've used this a couple times. It works wonderfully, and it's so, so easy. So those peppers and onions are perfect now. Everything is cooked right to where I want it to be. So we're going to be adding in the mascarpone, and I always look for, my favorite is the Belgioso mascarpone. I look for the unsweetened when you get this, and I did peel off the safety seal earlier, and that, so right now I'm making about a half of the recipe on the site. And again, you can always adjust. So if you're only one or two in your household, or you're a family of 4 or more, there's an easy way to adjust the yield of the recipes on the site in the recipe card. So I'm just adding this mascarpone, and I'm going to get every last little bit of it here. Let's stick that over there. And I don't know if you can see this. I'll hold it up in just a minute. But as you stir this in, it's just going to melt down. Just going to melt down. And then you're going to want to take a little of that reserved pasta water and add a little to a time into that. And you're going to continue to stir that in as it melts to make that sauce. And here is where you're going to reduce the heat down just a tiny bit if you're not already on the lowest setting, so that you can melt that cheese nice and slowly into that onion and pepper mixture along with that pasta water. And the mascarpone cheese is really, I like to think it as the facilitator to marry together all of those ingredients into one delicious bowl of pasta goodness. So now that that is pretty much all melted in, and you can see that there, I am going to add in just a handful or two of fresh baby spinach and stir that in and give it just enough time so that that is going to wilt down a little bit here. Kind of stir and toss that together. And it only takes a moment or two. And as you see that wilt down, there we go. Looks really beautiful here. Now is when I'm going to, last but not least, add in this pasta. So we just dump it all in, put that over to the side. And you really want to toss this, not to stir it briskly or roughly. I'm trying to think of the right adjective here for you. But you want to make sure that that's getting tossed together so that it doesn't break your pasta down any further. And now that we've got that ready, I'll grab this spoon here. And I've got my bowl. So you're going to just dish up this creamy, beautiful pasta dish. Make sure I get some nice, pretty spinach up on top. And I love at the last minute here to grab some Parmesan. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little fresh Parmesan, make it smell over top. Here we go. And here is the beautiful dish. The camera guy can take a peek at it there. I'm hoping that this recipe for mascarpone and penne pasta helps keep you and your family well fed and excited to eat. And if you're looking for more inspiration, Peek through the film strip located at the top of every page on the website at gfreedeliciously.com to discover more easy recipes for cooking. That's all I got. I love you bunches. Please give me a like and be sure to share with your family and friends. Till next time, bye-bye.